Namaskaram. Hello and welcome, hardworking individuals. Do you know the story of the kidnap of the Home Minister's daughter in India? Well, we'll talk about that. That happened while the Prime Minister Sept of VP Singh, and that kidnap which took place was under a conspiracy theory. There are people who say that it was planned, and there are people who say that it was the very first time India succumbed to the terrorist organization, and that became a precedent. We will talk about VP Singh having rifts with Rajiv Gandhi when VP Singh was the defense minister and Rajiv Gandhi, obviously the prime minister at that time, on Bofors scandal. We will also see about the Soviet disintegration that happened, and recently when you talk about this Ukraine-Russia war, we will see how Ukraine also disintegrated at that time, and there were some promises that were made by Ukraine which it did not fulfill. And along with that, we will also see the Gulf crisis, and at that time, how India was non aligned and it made sure that all its citizens reach its country safely. So, we are going to talk all of that in today's class about Prime Minister VP Singh. VP Singh's government was formed after the fall of Rajiv Gandhi's, and we will see that VP Singh was supported by the Congress from outside when he formed the Janata Party. So VP Singh, as a prime minister, he did not had quite a very big period. Rather, it was just from December 2, 1989 to November 10, 1980, somewhere around only 343 days, and there were many challenges that he had to face. VP Singh, at first, before becoming the PM of India, was also a chief minister of Uttar Pradesh, and he was very famous for doing raids on the illegal mines at that time and again, he used to visit the laborers, okay, to get to know the welfare and what is actually happening in the ground level. This was something that VP Singh has earned, and while he was finance minister of India, again under the Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, it is said that he took the campaign ahead of getting through the tax evasions and also the corruption cases. So he was quite very famous as a man who was against corruption. Okay, so the major challenges and context when we'll talk about that. So the first and foremost, as I said you, it was the National Front coalition supported externally by the BJP and the left parties had to navigate this challenge while managing domestic political instability. And what it was, the most immediate crisis that we are talking about right now is the kidnapping of Rubaiya Saeed. Who was Rubaiya Saeed? She was the daughter of Union Home Minister Mufti Muhammad Saeed on December 8, 1989. Now, actually, what happened at that time? So, the Jammu Kashmir Liberation Front, or the JKLF, demanded the release of 5 jailed militants in exchange for her freedom. And it is said in the conspiracy theory that it was all planned, and even the Home Minister was involved in it, but it's not proved. So, we can't talk about that. But the government's decision to capitulate to these demands marked the watershed moment, because once you have this mediation with the terrorist organization, it is said that it sets a precedent for your government that no, if something again happens like that, government will negotiate with the terrorists. And that was something of a precedent of negotiating with terrorists that would have lasting consequences. We'll see later on Kandahar hijack also happening. Now, the relations with neighboring countries, if you see with Pakistan, primarily you see with the Pakistan, things were deteriorating only because that incident that happened, it was again said that Prime Minister Pakistan's hand was there while the kidnapping of Rubaiya Saeed, and also along with that there were this Pakistan's incursion in Kashmir that was happening time and again, that rifted the relationship between India and Pakistan. But VP Singh successfully averted what could have been India's fourth war with Pakistan. That is something that we should see. And he leveraged improved relations with China, and that was also something which disallowed Pakistan at that time to have war with India. The most significant foreign policy decision, if we see, of VP Singh, it was regarding Sri Lanka, and it was the withdrawal of the Indian peacekeeping forces in Sri Lanka that was completed by March 24, 1990. Now, if you remember, the Indian peacekeeping forces was sent by Rajiv Gandhi for the LTTE, Liberation Tiger of Tamil Eelam, and it was something because of which Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated also. But the withdrawal was conducted honorably with the Sri Lankan President Rana Singhe Premadasa expressing gratitude to India for the IPKF sacrifices at that time. Next, when we see about China, VP Singh government successfully managed China relations, building agreement regarding non-interference that enabled India to role play significantly military forces in the Chinese border to counter the Pakistani threat. The diplomatic achievement demonstrated pragmatic realpolitik in managing the strategy at that time. Now, what about Nepal, Bangladesh, and other neighbors? The government made efforts to repair damaged relationship with all the neighbors, particularly with the Nepal. So, if you remember, at the time of Rajiv Gandhi, we have the formation and foundation of South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation, that was SAARC, and now it is being used, visiting the Maldives, where he advocated for SAARC's evolution into a peace community. This is the map, and you should know, guys, about where Bangladesh actually lies and what are the strategic location of Indian states, and where is Myanmar, where are the parts of other Indian states, and what are the boundaries which are there with Bangladesh and other uh, countries with the northeastern states. What about the United States? After strained ties in 1980s due to US closeness with Pakistan, things will remain the same only. Okay, there will be a limited progress that we will see, but there was India's Soviet tilt and the nuclear program. This was something which was not to be liking of USA, and USA's continued support to Pakistan, especially as Pakistan was a frontline state for US strategy in Afghanistan against USSR. This we have discussed in the last class also. Singh's government expressed concern about US military aid to Pakistan, which India felt that it was something which was helping cross-border terrorism in Kashmir at that time. What about USSR? So there will be a time that USSR will be weakened and it will be disintegrated. Yes, that Soviet will disintegrate into various countries, including one of the largest as Russia. Yes. So the USSR, we are continuing the cooperation, the commitment that was there in the Indo-Soviet Treaty of Peace, Friendship and Cooperation of 1971, which was done by Indira Gandhi at that time. Now, India also depended heavily on Soviet arms imports. Singh's government continued these defense deals, and the USSR backed India's stance on Kashmir, opposing Pakistan's attempts to internationalize the issue. This is something that the USSR has always helped India, because India does not has a permanent seat in UNSC, so India cannot veto. But USSR has always vetoed favoring India. However, as the USSR weakened, Singh recognized that India could not rely solely on Moscow, so there was a need to have engagement with the United States of America as well. What about the non-alignment movement? NAM is substantially now getting withered away. Okay, because as there is no, the Cold War is finishing, the Soviet is disintegrating, so the relevance of NAM will also disintegrate with time. Now, these are the NAM countries that you should see. This dark blue color are the significant of the NAM countries. Otherwise, the sky was not for the NAM. Now, end of the Cold War happened. How and why the end of the Cold War? Because there was a disintegration of Soviet. Okay, the collapse of the Soviet bloc and the emerging unipolar world. Now, there is only one superpower, and that's USA. That was the fundamental rethinking of India's foreign policy and alignment. They have to now think about it, and VP Singh was one of the first to do so. So this is a newspaper headline that says Gorbachev, last Soviet leader, resigns. US recognizes republic's independence. So that was the Soviet state born of a dream and died. This is what you see. The Soviet was disintegrated into Russia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, And the very famous Ukraine, you can see over here, the very famous Ukraine is also there apart from other countries. I said you at the start that there is something that you should know about the Ukraine. So in the March 11, 1990, that is, you see Lithuania was there, then April 9, 1991, Georgia, August 2022, Estonia, Latvia, and so forth. You will see August 24 to 31st, Ukraine, Belarus, Moldova, Azerbaijan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, all of them are forming independent nations. Now, the three Baltic states did not join CIS. What it was, let's see. While Ukraine was one of the founding members of the Commonwealth of Independent States, CIS stands for Commonwealth of Independent States, it never ratified the charter. It did not join the Collective Security Treaty Organization and has expressed its desire to join the NATO. Now, this is a significant reason you see today that war happening between Russia and Ukraine. This is the biggest reason that is there. And after months of buildup of troops, Russia launched an invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022. So that is still continuing today. Now, there is a significant thing apart from the Soviet disintegration that you should know. So there was a Gulf War which happened. So what was there in the Gulf War? So there was Saddam Hussein who attacked on Kuwait and other neighboring countries that time, that you can say. And in against of that, there was Operation Desert Storm launched by UN, supported by USA. But India thought that it should be non-aligned, and at that time we had the foreign minister Indra Kumar Gujral. IK Gujral also went on to become the Prime Minister of India, and he had meeting with Saddam Hussein in August 1990 to discuss Indian evacuation, created controversy and urged the United States that why are you talking with Saddam Hussein? But however, under pressure and recognizing new post-Cold War realities, the government ultimately allowed US aircraft refueling facilities of Gulf operation, making a significant departure from traditional non-aligned position. This is something. There was a movie also made which was acted by Akshay Kumar. I think the movie was Airlift. So this was a significant thing because India was able to evacuate all its Indian citizens from the Gulf countries at that time. So this here you can see Kuwait is the place where there was this attack by Iraq at that time, and this was the Gulf War that happened. Operation Desert Storm is something that also you should know about. Okay, you can see here Desert Storm and Iraq War, Iraqi freedom, all this thing it is given here in this map. You can go through very nicely. Okay, there are also the other countries that you should know about which are neighboring here. So this with the maps you can understand the strategic location, and it's very important. Now the disarmament and the regional security, when we talk about, so the on nuclear policy, the thing what had been maintained is again being continued. Report suggests Singh established a study group in 1990 to formulate procedures for effective control of nuclear weapons, and government maintained India's traditional stance advocating for universal nuclear disarmament. India always said that everybody should disallow nuclear. Now, what were the key achievements? Let's very quickly see them. So there was some successful conflict avoidance, like there could have been an Indo-Pakistani war that was avoided, like the IPKF, Indian Peacekeeping Forces withdrawal from Sri Lanka, like the China relations which were good because of which India-Pakistan war did not happen, and about the regional diplomacy where they are promoting SAARC at that time for the regional brotherhood. Now, there were limitations also. First and foremost, the terrorism precedent, the Rubaiya Saeed case established a dangerous precedent of negotiating with terrorists. Now, the policy inconsistency, Gulf War response demonstrated confusion and lack of coherent foreign policy. Political instability was there, coalition government, obviously, whenever any party wants that now we don't want to support the government will fall. So you have to listen to everybody. And the brief tenure prevented implementation of comprehensive policy reforms at that time. Overall impact and legacy, when we talk about, so there were some good things like the IK Gujral's stewardship, the government emphasized equal partnership rather than regional hegemony. Okay, and the management of the strategic vision that we see. Then the period also marks a crucial transition from the Cold War era from the foreign policy. That is what we have seen. And also about the brief tenure and all in it, if we talk about It was one of a very interesting period of one of a very interesting Indian Prime Minister. What do you think about it? Comment. But before that, let's see some of the previous year questions if you're going through that. So, which significant decision relating to India's military involvement in neighboring country was taken by VP Singh's government? What it was? It was so withdrawing the Indian peacekeeping forces from Sri Lanka. So this is something of a significant decision that we see. The next question, it talks about during VP Singh's tenure, which incident set a precedent for negotiating with militants. So obviously it was kidnapping of Rubaiya Saeed. Well, if you want the PDF of this classes for free, you can join our Telegram channel and you'll get it for free. Also, if you have any question to any of the educator, you can call on the numbers given below and ask the educator for free. Yes, it's for free. You don't have to worry about it. So what was the approach of VP Singh's government towards India's South Asian neighbors in terms of foreign policy? So it was equal partnership and cordial relationship. That was the correct answer. Which of the following best described India's policy stance in Gulf crisis? Well, it was a position to evacuate, no, massive diplomatic evacuation operation. Number C is the correct answer. Last but not the least was the foreign minister. While BP Singh's administration, it was the very famous Indra Kumar Gujral. Okay, guys. So with that, we have come to the end. Hope you have got some quality content over here. If you're preparing for UPSC, TSPSC or APPSC, you can join one-on-one live mentorship by Deepika ma'am, which will also be taken care by us, the educators, and it can shorten your journey from the aspirant to the administrative officer. So keep working hard, subscribe so that we can meet again, and today or tomorrow you will be successful. Thank you so much. Namaskar.